Tonight on Joy News Prime, National Health Insurance Authority investigates unapproved fees charged breast cancer patients by radiotherapy units of the Kolebu and Komfanochi teaching hospitals.
You cannot run the hospital as if it's a cash and carry system within health insurance. The whole point of having a health insurance is to get value for money.
This follows a Joy News investigative piece on the practice which has been going on for a while now.
When I'm here, they are telling me that to pay $250. That's why I'm surprised.
National Executive Committee of the governing New Patriotic Party sets June 20 for the conduct of outstanding parliamentary primaries. We'll bring you the very latest. Also in the bulletin, former Energy Minister Kofi Boah disputes claims by the current Deputy Energy Minister that the John Mahama administration ran down the oil and gas sector, leaving the country with fruitless oil contracts.
Government can never compare their record in the upstream oil industry with the NDC government, led by President Mills, may he so rest in peace, or President Mahama.
In business.
5 years on, oil marketing companies are yet to receive reports establishing cause of June 3 disaster.
Here was a situation where we had an incident. It was not properly investigated, because as at now, even 5 years from there on, we have not received a copy of the report, even to know what are the root causes were and what we need to do.
A National Chief Imam directs the suspension of Friday congregation prayers until further notice, despite the easing of COVID-19 restrictions on social gatherings.
I'm Israel Lai, anchoring Joy News Prime live on your digital terrestrial TV because we're free to air.
And my name is Aisha Ibrahim, coming to you live from Akokom Limle Studios on digital address GA0992539. The bulletin is also live on DSTV channel 421 and GoTV channel 144.
The National Health Insurance Authority has begun an investigation into a report revealing how the radiotherapy units of the Kolebu and Komfanochi teaching hospitals charge breast cancer patients unapproved fees before they access a medication supposedly free under the NHIS. An agreement signed between the government of Ghana and the Swiss-based pharmaceutical company Roche in 2018 provided breast cancer patients with a treatment drug called Herceptin at no cost. But the radiotherapy units of the two hospitals are billing the patients facility user development fund and chemotherapy fees before they can receive the essential drug. Joy News' investigative journalist Kwetenate reports the hospitals are making up to 300 cedis per vial of Herceptin administered to the patients.
Today when I'm here, they are telling me that to pay $250. That's why I'm surprised.
Vida, not her real name, is a middle-aged woman battling breast cancer. Her biggest worry now is she spent all her savings battling the disease. Now her business is on the verge of collapse.
All my money is finished. So yesterday when I came, they told me that the money is covered for insurance. So I'm glad that my money is working for me today. They told me that to pay the $250.
It's Vida's fifth time at the radiotherapy unit of the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. She's been asked to pay 250 Ghana cedis before she's given medication. Even though she's covered under the National Health Insurance Scheme, she will not be administered the Herceptin injection until she pays the money. She's issued with an invoice containing facility user fees and chemo. The Global Cancer Incidence, Mortality and Prevalence, Globalcan, estimates that 16,000 cases of cancer occur annually in Ghana. In 2018, the Ministry of Health and the Swiss-based Roche Pharmaceuticals signed an agreement aimed at making Herceptin free for breast cancer patients under the National Health Insurance Scheme. country director of Roche, Philip Addison, said the partnership between government and the Swiss company was to eliminate the cost barriers faced by breast cancer patients in Ghana.
What we had given the government was supposed to be completely reimbursed by the NHIS, so that patients would not have to pay, so that money would not be a barrier for any woman or any patient who would need Herceptin for breast cancer.
But Joy News checks reveal since November last year, health officials at the radiotherapy unit of the Kolebu Teaching Hospital have charged patients 3 different unapproved fees before administering the Herceptin injection. In one encounter, 2 patients were charged separate amounts, 250 Ghana cedis and 200 Ghana cedis. On the 14th of November last year, before assessing breast cancer medication, these monies were meant for facility user fees and chemotherapy, though none of the patients was offered chemotherapy. One of the patients we have decided to call Veronica said she sought explanation from the authorities at the radiotherapy unit of Kolebu on why she was charged for a treatment which was meant to be free. She was told the money was meant for consultation. She says,
there is another one looking at your condition. There is an injection they give you, and for that one, NHIS covers it, but they still let you pay some amount to cover part.
If NHIS covers it, then it suggests that you don't have to pay anything. Have you asked them why they are making you pay when it's supposed to be free?
When you ask them, they tell you the radiotherapy unit is not, they don't take NHIS. So for their consultation and other things, you have to pay for it.
I have seen on the receipt that there is a cost for chemo. When you take the injection, when you pay the 200 cedis, do they conduct chemo on you?
No.
The Chief Executive Officer of the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, Dr. Daniel Asari, says his office isn't aware of these charges and has not sanctioned them. But head of the radiotherapy unit of the hospital, Dr. Joel Yane, tells us the patients are not supposed to pay these fees. The discrepancy was caused by delays in relaying the information to the facility not to charge breast cancer patients after government entered the agreement with Roche to absorb the cost related to breast cancer treatment in July last year. We began the investigation into the payment of these unapproved fees in November 2019. It means this delay Dr. Yane talks about has persisted for 5 months while patients were paying monies they weren't supposed to. Next, we traveled to the Ashanti regional capital, Kumasi, to ascertain how the free breast cancer care program was being run there. We met Ajua Kunedu, not a real name. She's one of the breast cancer patients assessing care at the Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital. She was charged 60 Ghana cedis for breast cancer treatment.
And I was sick. I was saying, "Woman, pani, pani, never want more, Miss Srim." And I know it's in a boarding pa, and this are buying a boa. I must have any day in Jiska. In Jiska, now what you mean, Sabia, Namako. Now what you mean,
Inti Obia and Jewuska, Efa Pani and ho.
That's what they be. And I said, Miko, you food that Micha 10 CD. Micha 10 CD. Now make all pan and so I make 20 CD. And I said, 3 weeks in the best of 3 days time, I 3 weeks in a son, no Macoy lab. ɛna me chia 30 cedi na me de ko nti me de ko chia doctor wi ansa na ya wo me panel no so.
Ajua Kunadu was also not supposed to be charged these fees under the existing agreement. A report on the implementation of the project to include the Herceptin injection on the medicine list of the National Health Insurance Scheme added the injectable at a reimbursable cost of 3,914 Ghana cedis to radiotherapy units of Kolebu and Kath. Sources at the National Health Insurance Authority tell us these units of the hospitals make 300 Ghana cedis in excess profit per vial of the Herceptin injection they administer to breast cancer patients. Head of the Oncology Department of Kath, Dr. Osebonsu, disclosed the monies charged to breast cancer patients would go into the Unit Development Fund. Clinical oncologist at Kath, Dr. Frances Margaret Williams, sheds more light on the rationale behind the fees charged breast cancer patients.
Every time a patient comes in to see a doctor, as in for a consultation, we have what we call a ward fund. The ward fund is meant to manage the place, as in you come, you want to use the washroom. After using the washroom, you need soap to wash your hands, some tissue. If a light bulb is not working, it's not now that we have to run to central management. We have to be able to do very little things. So we rely on that money to do those very little things. So every patient pays 10 cedis for the little things that we need to get the place running. So every patient pays that. And then for the patient on Herceptin, we pay the other 10 cedis is for the consumables. To get any injection, you have to give it sterilely. So the consumables that we need to give the medication under sterile conditions. Yeah, basically, that's what that 20 cedis is meant for.
The National Director of the Oncology Center at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, Dr. Joel Yani, has confirmed they demand those fees from patients. He however explains it is because the cost of service at the radiotherapy unit is not borne by government. He spoke with Ernest Kojomenu on News Desk.
It is not exactly so.
So what is the situation then?
When Herceptin is given, but what you're saying is partly true. When Herceptin is given, it's given with another drug.
Which other drug is this?
It's called paclitaxel.
Okay.
And the paclitaxel may or may not be on the health insurance. The supply is a bit erratic. Sometimes it's on, sometimes it's not on. So the situation is not as simple as that.
And how much do you charge per that?
I don't know exactly, but it is billed by people involved.
You do not know how much you charge for that?
Pardon?
You do not know how much you charge for that?
I don't know exactly how much it's around that.
But are you charging facility user fee? Are you charging for chemotherapy as well?
Yes, we charge for facility user fee.
How much do you charge for facility user fee?
It depends on what the patients use. You need gloves, you need a coverall, you need a face mask, you need IV fluid. So depending on what you use, it is covered.
Can you give us a range?
It may range from about, let's say, 150 to about 250.
150 to?
About
250.
Yeah.
The point you're making is that you're not supposed to be charging for these because you make up to 300 cedis when you administer the vial to these breast cancer patients, and that is supposed to be taken care of.
Taken care of by who?
I've made the point already, by government, sir.
We are supposed to we are running a service, and we need this accoutrement. At the time of service delivery, we need to give IV. At the time of service delivery, a cannula is used. At the time of service delivery, if at the time the drug is not available, it has to be bought, not the
Now, the NHIS boss says the fees you are charging are unapproved, and this is Dr. Selby. How do you react to that?
He hasn't proven that it's unapproved.
She hasn't proven that it's unapproved? You are doubting the NHIS boss?
Yes.
The Health Minister, Kukwa Jumamino, however, says the ministry is unaware of the charges.
I don't know whether it has come to your attention that some breast hasn't come to my attention at all. Now that you are telling me, I'll quickly do a search to try to find out how true this rumor is.
So in the normal scheme of things, the NHI is supposed to pay for the treatment of these cancer patients. But just as the minister stated, the NHI says it is also unaware and has initiated processes to investigate the matter.
You cannot run the hospital as if it's a cash and carry system within health insurance. The whole point of having a health insurance is to get value for money, is to drive efficiency in the service delivery. And if we're not getting any reciprocity from them, as we are getting more efficient, they need to get more efficient in service delivery as well. And if that is not happening, I'm afraid it defeats the purpose of having a national health insurance scheme. We are in a lot of dialogue with the service providers to really see how we can address this issue, because it is denting public confidence in the scheme. But I would say over the last 2 years, 2, 3, 4 years, when we got into difficulties, they were taking money from the patient and we still paid. It works out to double payment. By now, they should have at least had excess payment for them to be able to stop these illegal payments if they felt it was because of arrears. I think there's a bit of bad faith going on here, and it needs to be addressed. Patients feel very vulnerable, and they find it difficult to sometimes report just because they know their lives are in the hands of those they are reporting. It is a very delicate situation, but we do have some reports and some evidence, and I know my team are investigating and they will bring me back a report so that we can address it.
The governing New Patriotic Party has set Saturday, June 20, 2020 for its suspended parliamentary primaries. The election, which was supposed to have come off on April 25 this year, was postponed indefinitely due to the outbreak of COVID-19 and its related restrictive measures announced by the President. President Akufo-Addo, Vice President Dr. Mamadou Bawumia and the leadership of the party are currently in a meeting discussing the modalities of the scheduled primaries. My colleague Kwesi Parker-Wilson is monitoring the meeting at Alisa Hotel and joins us via Zoom. Parker, what more can you report?
All right, so Israel, let me say that the meeting just ended about 10 minutes ago. The president, the vice president, just exited. The majority leader, Sechemen Sabonsu, was also present in this meeting. He left a while ago, and some other executives who were in this meeting. Now, the party has officially, and these are the words of the General Secretary of the NPP, John Bodu, that on Saturday, June 20, that is when they are going to hold the suspended parliamentary primaries. And as you mentioned, somewhere in April 25, that was when the party was supposed to conduct the primaries, but because of COVID-19, they suspended it indefinitely. The General Secretary says that they now have the green light to conduct it for their sitting members of parliament, 161 sitting members of parliament for this particular primaries. Again, the president was supposed to be acclaimed by the delegates of the NPP. Today, the National Council has endorsed the flag bearership of the president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. So it's official that the president is leading the NPP into the December 2020 poll. No acclamation. The National Council has endorsed, and according to the General Secretary, in subsequent days, they are going to issue an official statement to back this. But I have with me a member of parliament here who was in the meeting, and of course, since this is about the MPs, let's get a quick reaction from him. Thank you so much for your time this evening. Now, we want to find out from you your reaction for the 20th June, the primary, sir.
Thank you very much. I think we had all prepared ourselves earlier to this meeting. The party at the outset set dates for us to hold our primaries in April. And because of the pandemic, the party at the same time, by its own exercising the rights and what we have enshrined in our party's constitution. The body, which was the party, decided that we postpone that exercise indefinitely. Fortunately for us, these restrictions which were imposed because of the pandemic are being eased now. Pretty soon, in the next 6 months, there's going to be a general elections in this country. The party has not held its primaries in areas where we have our sitting members of parliament. And we need to go through this democratic exercise because this is a democratic party. And so nominations were opened, the processes have already been completed. There is no way we shouldn't go through and complete that ritual. So it is welcome news for all of us in the party and as the nation builders of this country, as members of the body politic. This is an exercise which is inevitable. We have to do it and ensure that the party also has her nominees in the various constituencies, fully fledged, because the orphan constituencies are now having their members who are going to stand in for the party as nominees of the party for the general elections. It is left with those of the areas where the party has members sitting in parliament as of now. And that is the decision the party is going to take on the 20th of this month. And we believe it is a right time and we should go through the exercise.
Now, Honorable, finally for me, does this put you in a situation where you have to double the effort you would have used perhaps if the party had held the primaries on the 25th of April?
I think that even in general elections, we still work in parliament and still go back to the constituencies to campaign. All of us must get our loins. We are not in normal times. It is a difficult time. However, there is a set time. And I know and believe in all the constituencies that each and every delegate in all the constituencies by this time, I believe knows who they would want to elect or vote for. Except a few. I can say that without fear or anything, that most of the delegates already decided. It's just a matter of time for them to walk to the polling station and affirm who they want to be their leader in respect of that particular constituency. And so I am of the opinion that no worries. Let's all go in and ensure that the party is also held in peace, because once this exercise is taken off the way of the political party, it grants us the opportunity to go head on and start the contest for the general elections in 2020. We need to get this off the way so that we can be in action in full gear. And we all support whatever decisions council has taken.
Right, thank you very much. So that's Honorable Senator Champon there, saying that the NPs welcome the decision. They are grateful. And that, of course, I mean, the delegates know who they will vote for come June 20 this year.
Right, thank you very much, Kwesi Parker Wilson. As you just heard from Kwesi Parker Wilson, the National Executive Council of the governing New Patriotic Party has acclaimed President Akufo-Addo as the flag bearer of the party going into the December 2020 election, and that's one of two major announcements that came out of that meeting that happened at or just ended at the Lisa Hotel. The other meeting is that the other news that came out of it is that the councillors also set Saturday, June 20, 2020 for its suspended parliamentary primaries. That's for sitting or incumbent MPs. Aisha, over to you in the studio.
And we'll be watching out and bringing you all the details on your election headquarters. Now, police in Nkwanta South have rescued a number of children sold into slavery by their parents. At least 4 children were taken to shelters when the police and the International Justice Mission launched a nighttime raid on the shelters of the suspects. The children had been sold for as low as 500 Ghana cedis. Kojo Yankson tagged along a now report.
Just imagine the trauma of you seeing or hearing about a fellow friend, brother, drowning on the lake.
Child trafficking is the dirty little secret Ghana has been sweeping under the carpet for decades. Children as young as 4 are sold for as little as 500 Ghana cedis to boat masters who use them for dangerous, grueling work, fishing on the Volta Lake and other water bodies.
We have 17 armed men, 3 detectives, and there are some female and some CPAs among them.
Today, I have been offered the opportunity to ride along as the Nkwanta South Police launch a daring late-night raid to rescue some slave children and apprehend their traffickers. The police do this as often as they can with support from organizations like IJM.
Okay, so with the Ghana Police, we support them in identifying potential cases of trafficking, and after that identification, we also support them in developing a tactical plan that will help in leading to the rescue and arrest of the suspect. And then we also provide some logistics to them. So, for instance, if they need like some gadgets that they may not have, or vehicles to move into the community to rescue the children, or possibly even if it's things like water. And so we support them to do this. And we also provide them with training. And so we do a lot of training for the police officers, especially those within the human trafficking unit.
Intel for tonight's operation was gathered by undercover investigators who spent several weeks risking their lives to get close to the suspects and observe their criminal activities. One of the undercover operatives agreed to speak to me.
Yeah, what we actually saw was the boat master was engaged in fishing with the victims at the lake side, and the instructions given out had no mercy or kind of caring for the children. You will also see that immediately the boat master will end the sentence instructing a child victim, he quickly obeys the order, even though without letting the boat master end his sentence. So it seems that it is normal routine with them.
In a fast-moving convoy, we set off on our mission. The journey to the target's location takes almost 3 hours.
We've been traveling for about 2 hours now from Nkwanta. We are now approaching Lapo, which is the community in which the suspects are living. The suspects are a husband and wife. They have their own children, but they are also keeping 5 children as slaves.
As expected, everyone is asleep. The armed policemen start waking people up.
Now let's get more from the producer of that report, Kojo Yankson, who is joining us via Zoom. Also on Zoom is Leonard Akon, Director of Advocacy and Partnerships at IJM. Let's start with you, Kojo. We have seen your report, but briefly share your experience with us.
It was a rather high adrenaline situation, if you can imagine. Very well-trained police officers moving through the dark in this community that they had never been in before. Uneven roads running through mud houses. Very concerned that they don't wake up the community, who could turn hostile if necessary. And so this band of well-trained men managed to get through this dark community to locate the specific home. Went there, woke everybody up, arrested the suspects, rescued the victims who were available, and made their way out quickly before the community even knew what hit them. Now, the thing that was of interest really happened after the operation. And that was when it became clear that there is a very long process from apprehension of suspects to conviction of accused child traffickers. And along the way, there are several things that could go wrong if state institutions don't step up and do their job. So, for example, in the OT region, it'll surprise you that if you go to the capital, which is Dambai, there is no circuit court in Dambai. So when you have suspects awaiting trial, you might end up having to take them to another town where they could be dismissed simply because of the lack of jurisdiction. When these particular suspects were taken in to the Nkwanta South police station, we were told by those officers in charge that there was every likelihood that these suspects would be sent home because of COVID-19. They wouldn't be held for very long in custody because of COVID-19. As we speak, I'm told that the suspect is out on bail. So already you start to see that the system to bring these people to justice is fraught with obstacles. And because we are not prioritizing this work of rescuing children, a lot of these obstacles, which are easily surmountable, remain in place, causing all kinds of difficulties for those who want to seek justice for children like those we rescued.
How are the rescued kids faring, and where are they now?
Now, I know that Leo of IJM will be able to give us more of an update, but what the plan at the time they were rescued was that they will be held and kept in a place where they can interact with the social workers who will provide them with very, very much needed therapy and to give them the kind of care that they have been missing and lacking during their time of trafficking and slavery, and make sure that they are in the right frame of mind so that they can then be moved into a shelter. It will be a privately owned shelter. There are a number of those across the country that are run by NGOs. They will be taken to one of such shelters where their real rehabilitation will begin over a period of time.
Let me bring in Leo in this. What's the ultimate objective of these rescue missions, and even what's the situation like in Ghana?
Yeah, so I mean, the problem of trafficking on the Volta Lake is a big one, and it's also very, very complex as well. I mean, thousands of children we suspect have been enslaved on the Volta Lake. Some of these children, as young as 4 years old, are made to work sometimes 7 hours, 8 hours, 11 hours a day. They do not go to school. They're living with people that are not their parents, and these people just exploit them for economic gains. And so it is really a complex problem, and it's big. And I mean, it's not just good to see the lives of these wonderful children just waste away on the Volta Lake, when indeed we have all it takes to end it.
So what's the primary objective of the rescue mission? And let me find out from you, have you reunited these children with their parents, the same parents who sold them?
No, so there are a number of processes that I mean has to take place before these children will be reunited. Like Kojo mentioned, when these children are rescued, they are placed in a care home, like a shelter, where they receive psychosocial services, literacy, medical treatment, and all that. And also there are court processes that would have to take place, and like children play a key role in the court processes because they're key witnesses in these cases. So it's important that they are kept in a safe home where they are being cared for, where they are rehabilitated. And then after that, the team will try to identify the families of these children and sort of do an assessment, to, especially if they are not complicit. If they are complicit, then the law requires that they are prosecuted. But if they're not complicit, then of course the team will assess the families, and just to be sure that the families are well placed to receive these children. And also the team continues to work with communities to ensure that when these children are reintegrated, they don't stand at the risk of being re-trafficked, because that's really key. And so that's what really goes into it. And so it takes a while. I mean, sometimes it can take more than 6 months, it can take a year, it can take 2 years. And we know how our justice system works. It all depends on our justice system. We know how our justice system works. So if the justice system is going to stretch the case, of course, the likelihood that the kids may be in a care home for 2 years is there.
I'm grateful for your time. Leonard Akon is Director of Advocacy and Partnerships at IJM. Kojo Yankson is with Joy News, and he's the producer of that report. We take a break on Joy News Prime. We'll be back shortly with business. And it's time now for business. Sandra Peno is here with the very latest. Hi, Sandra.
Hello, Aisha. It's 5 years since June 3 disaster.
Definitely.
And victims still
are
claiming,
still hanging on there.
Yeah,
but what are oil marketing companies saying?
Yeah, yet to receive that report, yeah.
Take it over.
All right. Celebrating 25 years of joy, I'm here for business. My name is Sandra Estinam Apeno. The Association of Oil Marketing Companies says they are yet to establish the cause of the June 3 disaster at Guel Service Station at the Kwame Nkrumah Circle in Accra, despite the commissioning of an independent investigation into the incident by government. The recommendation from the committee was expected to help shape industry practice to prevent future occurrences. But Chief Executive of the Association of Oil Marketing Companies, Kwikwa Dumenjia, tells Joy Business that is yet to happen.
Basically, it's the 10 June disaster that we had. And it's so sad that we lost about 150 odd people. The only issue that we had on those one is that here was a situation where we had an incident, it was not properly investigated. Because as at now, even 5 years from there on, we have not received a copy of the report, even to know what are the root causes were and what we need to do. We only have scattered information, like you all know, the cigarette which was put there, somebody was lighting a cigarette and put out there.
That is very interesting. Does it mean that even the oil marketing company in question hasn't been given an official report on what happened?
I don't know oil marketing in question, that's oil.
Yeah.
I don't know about that one. But
the industry players?
Industry players, we don't know.
Meanwhile, not all victims of that disaster are entitled to an insurance benefit. According to the association, the current provision only caters for service station attendants and customers present at the time of the incident. This means if you are a pedestrian or a business entity around the area at the time of the incident, you get nothing.
The issue is, if the committee report has been around, we all have known the root cause. If the root cause is Goyle, fine. If the root cause is the fact that Goyle was negligent, fine. If the root cause is the fact that the floods were there and somebody didn't do his work and allowed the floods to spill over, then we have to look at the state. That's where the victims are in trouble. Because where do you lay the blame? Who's supposed to do what? You understand? And for our public liability insurance, it caters for people who go to the station to do business. As if somebody...
So if somebody's walking on the streets, what happens to that person?
It's not part of the issue. Unless it can be proven that the oil was such that it affected the fellow.
Insurance expert Edgar Redu joins me via Zoom for more on this development. Thanks so much for your time, Edgar. You heard that clip that we just played. Is this normal practice in insurance?
Well, I'm a little bit confused, actually. I'm hearing the fact that we're talking about, what, a report to be established. A report has been established long ago, about 5 years ago. This report, actually, there was a committee chaired by one retired Court of Appeal judge, Justice Dosi or something like that, if I got it right. And the committee came out with this report. And,
what the oil marketers are saying is that, Edgar, I think what you're saying is that they have not received that report from the committee, the association, I mean.
Well, the point, okay, if they've not received the report, that's a different thing. But the report was out, and then the report was very categorical, okay? It stated that the fire was caused by, I've forgotten the name, who threw a butt of the cigarettes into some running water. So the fire started from a certain area and it moved towards the Goyle station. So the Goyle station could only be the intermediate of the fire, but the immediate of the fire is from the cigarette butts.
Edgar, I think the issue we want to understand here is that, I mean, that clip that we just played said that if you were a pedestrian or even a business around the center of the incident, you are entitled to nothing.
No, unless, of course, what did you say?
I'm saying that that report that we just played is saying that if you were a pedestrian or even a business around the Goyle filling station where the incident happened, and you are not at the station itself, you're not a customer, you're not a service attendant, you get nothing as far as insurance is concerned. Is that normal?
Yes, first of all, no. A public liability covers anyone, provided it can be proven that you were a victim. A public liability is for damage or losses that would occur to third parties.
Right.
So the issue is, so whether you were, the most important thing that it must be proven that you were there, okay? But the issue we have on our hand now is this. People are blaming Goyle for the cause. Unfortunately, the report exonerated Goyle. If Goyle was, was liable, Goyle has a strong public liability policy. In fact, they of its public liability policy for all these years.
Right.
So if GOIL were liable for it, I believe that that matter would have been dealt with long ago. But because the committee exonerated GOIL and put the blame on the one who is alleged to have thrown the cigarette butts into the water, so that is what is making the case a little bit complicated. And you know, one of the main principles in insurance is what we call proximate cause, what actually caused the disaster or the unfortunate event.
Right.
So here, the action is that it is some other person who caused it and not GOIL.
Well said. Edgar, I'm afraid we have to leave it here because I don't have enough time, but I'm back after 8 p.m. with more business news updates. Thanks so much for watching.
Celebrating 25 years of media excellence, this is The Sport. I'm Gary Al Smith. And today, Kurt Okraku has said what many anticipated. He says he's unsure about the return of the Ghana Premier League. He was speaking on the sidelines of a Ministry of Information and Ministry of Sports press conference on the latest measures for COVID-19.
Answer will be provided on the 30th of June. This I have stated a number of times, and I don't want to, to quote Osophagus, I don't want to inimically circumvent what we have planned to do. First of all, I have said on numerous occasions that I'm also a club owner. Members of my council are club owners or affiliated to clubs, so we know how it feels like to be a club owner at this time. As to what the best solution will be, we'll still have to wait until the 30th of June. Clearly, we are heavily challenged. It's a period that we would wish it flies away quickly so that we can start to enjoy our football again. At the moment, we all have to stay strong. We all have to be there for each other and pray that we are able to come through this period successfully.
Kurt Okraku's apprehension came after the press conference. Now, at the press conference itself, the sports minister laid a lot of deadpan situations. One key thing he said was that should football return, each Ghana Premier League match would cost 60,000 Ghana cedis to organize in terms of the facilities that will be used.
The FA, let me be honest with you, they have the capacity to overcome this COVID challenge. They have the capacity, and we have every confidence in the capacity of this FA president. We have had several engagements on the way forward of our football, the way forward, several engagements. I charged or directed the NASA boss to look at even playing it on an empty stadium across the country. The figure he quoted was a huge challenge because it's not only about going to play, putting in place and observing all these precautionary measures. How do you get the players maybe at a hotel? Even sometimes it's risky putting them at a hotel. So how do you get them on board? And how do you also disinfect the stadium across the country? Not only that, testing is key. You need to test each player. And in our environment, is it possible for us to play football without our supporters? Major challenge. So these are the issues we are considering. The figure that came out from the NASA was about 60,000 per a match. 60,000 Ghana per match. And this is huge. For me, it's not only about the money. It's about the lives of our athletes, of our footballers. How do you ensure that they are safe at all these league centers? So it's an issue, we are still resolving it. But I can assure you that going forward, and this
Isaac Isiama made a few more key highlights, and you can find them on our Instagram, where we have put them in handy quotes. And as you see, this one says that as a way to mitigate the monetary plight of athletes caused by COVID-19, the Sports Ministry is collaborating to institute a stimulus package, and they will be called the Youth in Elite Sports for Ghana. He also said that Ghana's preparation to host the 2023 All-Africa Games is on course. There's been no indication of postponement due to COVID-19. So you can find all these quotes on our Instagram. That is Joy Sports GH. Joy Sports GH is our Instagram. That's it for the sport for now. I'll be back on the other side. For those of you on Joy News, for those on Joy Prime, thank you for your time.
All right, let's stick with showbiz here on Prime. Let's talk about the music duo, Tego Sisters. Today we are talking about them. We are celebrating them. They've been in the industry for 35 years, and we're celebrating them right here on the show.
It is grace. Two, it's not easy, but togetherness, I believe, if I love her and she loves me, by all means we will make headway. But if there's no love, there won't be any unity to do what we want to do. So I believe we try to be nice to each other, love each other. I care for her. Anything that goes wrong with her, it bothers me. And I believe we should. Sometimes it's money that brings conflicts. And I believe what I have, we have a song. What is mine is yours. What is yours? It's mine. When you share, you get. So I believe we live on in all these words that we've been talking about. So that goes great for 35 years. It's not easy, but at the end of the day, it's like because as she's saying, she loves me and I love her. For 35 years being together, it's not easy. That's how we have been here all these years. So we are still moving on by His grace. He's my refuge. Oh no, Jimmy free, my town full say. He delivers me from the evil ones. Jimmy free, my town full say. Jonya Mishirana, Wishirano, Onipan to main say, said I'm Jimmy so Shabana. Makuma rin to she say, Onyami wo ya feya. Mesuro cry. Wash your hands. If you are not going out to do anything, you are not going to buy anything, stay home.
All right, yeah, timeless music right there. Yeah. But Aisha, Billboard has compiled a list of artists across 11 African countries whose content on YouTube gained a lot of views in 2019. In Ghana, Billboard has rated Ghanaian gospel songstress Zana Hamilton as one of the most viewed Ghanaian artists on YouTube, with an average of viewing of 6.42 million. The Moniyo singer is rated 4th in the list of the top 5 most viewed artists in Ghana. She is the only woman in that exclusive list, which is led by Shatta Wale, who tops with 13.26 million, Sarkodie 11.72 million, Stonebwoy with 7.86 million, and Things Fall Apart hitmaker Kofi Kinata, who comes in at 5th with 4.63 million. Yeah, so basically, congratulations to all these people and local champions.
I think they're doing great.
Yeah, they are.
And we appreciate them for that.
I really love it. All right, so let's talk about Adina. Adina has been telling us all about how she really wanted to become a gospel musician, but you know, there's something really different about being a gospel musician. So she decided that, okay, gospel music is not good for me.
I grew up in a church, so as young as, I don't know who's the youngest, the lady in the polka dots. Yeah. I was probably that young when I started singing. Christiana, yeah. I was that young when I started singing in church, and I would sing with the big, like the big church choir. I don't know if you get that. So the big choir. Yeah, I'll be the little child amongst them. Yes. And so I understood, to me, I felt like I was introduced to Christianity at a very young age. And to me, gospel is a big deal. I won't just stand up and say because I used to sing in it. I feel like it's a ministry on its own. It's a calling. Wow. You shouldn't just get up and say.
Because you're doing it for God, it has to be perfect.
It has to be perfect, and people will look at your life as an example, and you need to be sure that you're ready.
Thanks so much for bringing us showbiz.
Anytime,
and
Aisha.
I think she can do some gospel. Thank you so much. One of these days, and that'll be it for showbiz.
Now, former Energy Minister Awan Kofi Boah is tonight disputing claims by Deputy Energy Minister Mohamed Amin Adam that the John Mahama administration ran down the oil and gas sector, leaving the country with empty contracts that failed to deliver any oil discoveries. In an earlier interview on PM Express, right here on the Joy News channel, Dr. Amin Adam claimed the policies of the current government save the oil sector from further decline.
Any objective-minded person who has the benefit of seeing the data, will attest to the fact that when it comes to the oil and gas industry, President Akufo-Addo stands out relative to John Mahama.
In what specific sense?
And I'll tell you why. In terms of infrastructure, President Mahama completed the Atop gas processing plant in 2014, but this was a project started by President Mills in 2011-2012. That was completed, all right. What was problematic about it, what I call the failure of planning, was for the government then to have realized that we have most of our power plants in Tema, that is the eastern part of Ghana. But there was no project to link the processing plant through a pipeline to where our plants are. And so even at the time we had Dumso, because Nigeria had curtailed, supply of gas to us, we had so much of our own gas, our indigenous gas, stranded in Takoradi. This was the failure of planning. Today, as I speak to you, President Akufo-Addo has delivered the first phase of the gas reverse project, which now allows us to flow up to 60 million standard cubic feet of gas a day from Takoradi to Tema.
He also questioned what he says is a lack of planning that left significant quantities of much-needed gas stranded in the western region.
This government can never compare their record in the upstream oil industry with the NDC government, led by President Mills, may he so rest in peace, or President Mahama. I mean, this is a government that brought Ghana to the gas era. Remember, so many countries have discovered oil over 50 years. They are still flaring gas. It takes leadership. And so we are talking about a government that we are almost in their 40th year, no record. They've rolled back the progress in the upstream sector 10 years back. We built a comprehensive infrastructure. 60-kilometer pipeline from the sea, bringing gas onshore, a gas processing plant, 150 million scarf, and a 110-kilometer pipeline to utilize indigenous gas. Before that, we were having all sorts of challenges with the issue of fuel. Look at the government. We are leaving office, and we give you a simple assignment. And this is what we said. We have implemented the Western Corridor gas infrastructure. But we know that in the coming year, ENI will come on stream with almost 180 million standard cubic feet of gas. ENI is not in yet, but your assignment is to make sure that you follow the timelines and the timetable we've laid out. We had come to Parliament, we had passed the reverse flow, we've gotten approval from Cabinet, come to Parliament, we've laid up a plan to implement the reverse flow so that the gas can get to Tema. We have lost power. So in January 2017, the NPP comes to power. And guess what? They go to bed. And they make all sorts of excuses. We are investigating this, that. And guess what? It wasn't until June 2019 that officially they signed a contract to implement that.
Sanitation Minister Cecilia Adapa says government is committed to transforming landfills into green recreational spaces as work on some dam sites in the country progress steadily. At a stakeholders meeting for the decommissioning and re-engineering works of the Bong landfill, the Sanitation Minister acknowledged the inconvenience the site poses to residents will stop with the creation of a new environment for relaxation.
As the Minister in charge of sanitation and water resources, I must say this is one of the happiest periods in my life personally. And then as part of this government, that in Chi we call Osiadeyo government. We promise and we deliver. Okay. So we thank God that the contractors are on site. They are going to work day and night. And you have to also collaborate with us to make sure inputs like yours, it goes out there about this good re-engineering and decommissioning that we are doing. This has a long history, and it takes a bold leader like His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo to make this change, to find the resources. You know, in sanitation, when you spend money, what do you get in return? Good health, good environment, the climate claps for you, because at the end of the day, you don't have any environmental sickness or sicknesses. Cholera will be out, malaria will be out, and generally, like you see all these goodies coming, these ones coming. People can come here, stroll, jog, cycle, and that's what Ghana deserves. So I thank you very much for also showing interest and continue to feature this project in your works.
So are we going to see this replicated in other parts of the country?
Yes, Kumasi. These two big dam sites. Uti in Asokwa. He's on site. The contractor is on site. And the contractor has the mandate for the two landfills. Yes, yes.
The project engineer, Emmanuel Sasu, has been providing details on what the landfill site will become when completed.
We'll see transformed to a recreational facility. It could be a golf course. It could be a area for people to come and recuperate from sickness. It could be a place people come and have their retreats for churches. It's more like an, as you can see in the pictorial diagram, this is what we are going to achieve. So with different terraces, we could have a football pitch. We are thinking of bringing the AstroTurf on part of it, so that the guys in the community can go and play football on Saturdays and keep fit for the nation. Yes. When it rains, we all know in 2011 there was a huge cholera outbreak, which claimed about 100 lives. This was the reason. When it rains, of course, there's a lot of environmental hazards. The stench alone is enough to cause some sicknesses. The idea is to bring that to a close and make sure that everybody lives in a very safe environment. The site. It has outlived its design life, meaning that it's no longer safe for the environment. So we're going to put clay material and compact it very well, and then put what we call the HDP liner, such that when it rains, it doesn't get to the boiler again. Everything goes out. We'll put in gas chambers, because as you see, there are 1.5 million cubic meters of gas trapped in this thing here. And we have in the drainage system, because the soil has the boiler has lots of organics, which will keep decaying. It comes to leachate. What you see there at the side is the black thing called the leachate. That comes from the boiler. It's all be trapped from the refuse and treated, and discharged to the nearby body.
Now, in the first week of March, when Ghana started seeing its first cases of COVID-19, the U.S. had also started recording theirs. Ghana's case count now stands at a little over 8,548 cases and 38 deaths, while the U.S. has over 1.8 million cases and 100,000 plus deaths. Though the two countries cannot be compared, there are many who wonder why Ghana seems to have done so well so far, especially with its relatively low death rate. Lava Firm's Kwesi Deborah speaks with KNUST virologist and immunologist Dr. Mohamed Mutuchela for some answers.
We were told by June everything is going to be over, but we are in June and over 30 million population is in the pink of health. We're having about 7,000 confirmed cases, over 2,000 recoveries, and a little over 30 deaths. Calculate the case fatalities. So, why are we not dying? Is it the sun? Is it our genes or the environment?
I'm going to speculate from immunological point of view, and I'll come to environmental. Now, from the immunological point of view, people in Ghana or sub-Saharan Africa, their immune system is already on the alert. How we compare to the outside world, they do get viral infections all right, like when the flu season comes. But comparatively, their immune system is exposed to less or fewer types of infections. Then the other factors are environmental. So in Europe and America, they live in massive buildings. So you have to go through the escalator, you have to go through the lifts. The environment is, the weather is cold, so the virus survives for more time. And then the probability that one will pick it up during the lifts or going up is so high. If you look at their apartment, they live in tower blocks. We don't live that way in this country, although people live in compound houses. It's just exposed to the environment, the dryness. The virus doesn't thrive much in dry conditions. And then they also have a larger population of aged. In Africa, the people you are seeing living at the moment, like you and I and the rest, are naturally selected because our health system is so fragile that it's more or less like survival of the fittest. Up there in the UK, the Europe, and then North America, they have a very good health system. So a lot of people survive. If they were here in Africa, they would have died by now. So when pandemics comes like that, these people who I would put not very strong naturally or immunologically, are susceptible. And then we also have the smoking population. This is a respiratory disease. So you have a huge or very good number of the people smoke. And smoke naturally weakens the lung tissues. So when people get these infections, it kills them quicker.
April and May were all bark and no bite. This and others were perhaps crucial in this fight. You must always try to mask up. Always try to mask up. Well, lucky. My name is Kwesi Deborah for Joy News.
And on your election headquarters, the two-day pilot voter registration exercise has ended. The exercise, which was to test run the BVR kits in readiness for the main voter registration exercise to take place later this month, experienced some system challenges. Here are views compiled by our correspondents who observed the exercise. Voter regional correspondent Fred Kwame Asare says the process at various EC centers improved on Wednesday after some hitches the previous day. He spoke to the NDC's representatives for the region, James Guno and NPP's Emmanuel Boja.
As you have seen, if the turnaround time is what it is with me, it means that not many people can be registered in a day. And also the whole idea of social distancing. In as much as people have their officials have their face masks and things like that, you would find that the distance is for me it's a bit problematic.
And so you can see that everything is going on well as scheduled. But the pressure, there's no pressure here. So we will not be able to test the strength of the system. But the few I have observed, I've gone through the system myself, I've realized that there is an extremely improvement on the scanners.
However, in the Western region, the exercise was called off entirely due to technical challenges. Inathali Akwanza spoke to regional party executives for the governing NPP, Rex John Fia, and the opposition NDC's Joseph Nelson.
One way or the other, I'm disappointed. On the other side, too, I'm not disappointed in the sense that I believe that the problem that you're talking about is solvable. But it's rather unfortunate that because there's been a pilot, they choose to use one machine without backup. Had it not been the pilot program, if there were to be that, normally they would have used a backup machine. This problem wouldn't have arisen. So I believe because they are using only one machine for the pilot, there's no backup, hence they cannot continue with the exercise.
If the EC is minded about its credibility and the credibility of the system that they seek to deploy, okay, they should be the first to want to ensure that the so-called new machine works to expectation. I'm not interested, certainly the NDC is not interested in whatever the phrase technical H means. It's up to the EC to come to the public to explain.
General Secretary of the Opposition NDC, Johnson Asiedu Nketia, has taken his case against the compilation of the new voters register to the north of the country, arguing millions could be disenfranchised. It comes even as the Electoral Commission wraps up a pilot registration exercise ahead of the actual compilation. According to the NDC's General Secretary, the decision by the EC to accept only Ghana cards or passports would mean 500,000 people from the northern, northeast and Savannah regions will be disqualified.
If you go to north east, close to 400,000 have been established by statistical service as people who are 18 years and above. Electoral Commission has started 197,000, and again this includes minors. So if you adjust it, you may as well come to 120 or 150,000 who are 18 years and above, who have been registered by the NIA. Now you have to look at those who have been given the card out of the 187,000. It's only 135,000 who have the card. And this represents 34%. If you adjust it by removing the minors, again you are getting to another 100,000. So in the whole 3 northern regions, if they are comparing the voters register, and you have about 300,000 from north, 100,000 from northeast, 100,000 from Savannah. Then maximum, you are getting to about 500,000 out of about 1.7 million.
Meanwhile, the Electoral Commission is denying assertions the late start of day 2 of the pilot registration exercise was caused by faulty equipment. The exercise started at 8 instead of 7 a.m., which NDC officials claim was due to faulty biometric verification machines. But the Ashanti Regional Director for EC, Benjamin Barno denies this. Prince Appiah monitored proceedings on the last day of the piloting. And
the exercise, which was supposed to start at 7 a.m. this morning, started at 8 a.m. Meanwhile, some of the patrons had come here as early as 6 a.m. to go through the process.
It's important to me because I'm a Ghanaian and I have to vote. So if the demo goes on, I will know that after the registration, everything will be successful. I'm expecting that they will write my name. I know that it's a demo, but I'm going to get a card so that I will explain it to people so that they will know that this is what is going on. So there's going to be naming registration exercise.
Very Reverend J.B. Dankwa is my name. I'm a Methodist minister.
All right, so what is your motivation? Why are you here this morning?
So I have decided to take part so I can educate my church members on the actual registration. So I want to take part in the pilot one so I can educate my church members.
Others, like the NDC electoral director, was not impressed with the exercise and point at faulty machines for the earlier delay.
The machine is breaking down intermittently, and they are giving excuses that personally I wouldn't want to take. Okay, there was a first break early 7 o'clock. There was a breakdown. After about 1 hour, there was another breakdown, and then subsequent breakdown. So I think it will not help us. Let us look at the scenario on the D-Day. If these things will be happening at the various stations, there will be confusion. You understand?
Ashanti Regional Director for EC, Benjamin Barno explains this is not a fault of the BVR machine.
And our system to work perfectly. Nobody came here and was rejected by the new kits. It tells you that our system is very well conditioned for the exercise. Today too we have started. We have not had any major challenge. The only thing that happened this morning was that, you see, we are working in demo mode. And in demo mode, the system will not allow you to use it until it is 8 a.m. And because we have indicated earlier on that we are going to start at 7 a.m., some of the applicants came earlier, before 8 a.m. And they had to wait until the system gave in because we're using demo mode for this pilot exercise. That was where some of them felt they were being unduly delayed. But we explained it to them, and after 8, we were able to get onto the system and get the registration started. And as of now, we have not had any challenge as I'm talking to you.
As at the time of filing this report, more than 100 people had gone through the exercise, 67 persons registered yesterday, and more than 40 had already registered as at 2 p.m. on Wednesday. Officials say the success of the 2-day exercise here in the Shanti region is a big boost for the upcoming nationwide exercise. Prince Apia reporting.
Away from politics to religion, the National Chief Imam Sheikh Usman Nuhu Shaributu has called on the Muslim population in Ghana to hold on with Friday congregation prayers until further notice. The directive by Muslim leaders comes a day after a presidential directive that removed the restriction on worship in churches and mosques, putting a cap on the number of worshippers not to exceed 100 congregants. Even though the Religious Affairs Minister has come to lay out in details protocols to reopening of places of worship, the National Chief Imam is not downplaying the risk worshippers face if they are to go back to the mosque not properly prepared. Part of the press release from the office of the National Chief Imam reads, Jummah Salat, in view of the high risk of losing control of huge congregational sizes pursuant to the directive of the President limiting the number of worshippers to 100, Jummah Salat in major masjids, particularly in urban areas, should be discouraged until further notice. Where applicable, Jummah prayers should be held at minor or lower masjids concurrently in all communities with high Muslim concentration, with the number of worshippers not exceeding 100. Jummah prayers at institutional masjids such as the police, military and others where there is sufficient control may be observed. Now, joining me on the telephone is a spokesperson for the National Chief Imam, Sheikh Arimayao Shaib. Good evening to you. Many thanks for your time on Joy News Prime.
Good evening. Thank you so much.
Now, you've been appealing to the mosque to put up task force to enforce the protocols announced by government. So why are you telling the mosque also to hold on with the Jummah prayers?
Yes, I mean, we anticipate huge numbers or congregational sizes beyond the number that has been prescribed. And when that happens, we might be in danger of spreading the coronavirus. And so, given that there has not been enough time for preparation and getting the arrangements right, we thought that we should discourage the congregational Jummah, especially in the major Jummah centers in the urban areas, where we know huge, and there will also be the difficulty of actually controlling or restraining the huge numbers from entering into the mosque. So to really give us enough time to plan very well how we can contain the situation, we decided to discourage the holding of Jummah until further notice. Until further notice means that discussions and consultations will continue. And mind you, though it is said we should start on this Friday, it is not compulsory. It's not an imposition. But that if we think that we are not prepared enough, then we may as well now postpone opening until we are able to really get our hands firmly on all the challenges before then we. That's why we now give the allowance that lower mosques, or if you like satellite mosques within the catchment, can hold Jummah concurrently, having different imams in different smaller mosques, so that we then ensure the reduction of the number at the prescribed number, that is 100 and below, and to ensure also there's enough and adequate social distancing.
Very well, but for the National Chief Imam, what will be the ideal and safe condition for Jummah prayers to resume in the major mosques?
Well, the condition is for us to be able to really conscientize the community to understand very well, in spite of their desire to come to the mosque, the number is limited to 100 is what is permissible, so that the larger community will understand this. Religion is so much a sensitive matter at the core of people's life. And if you don't handle it well, you are most likely to trigger certain responses that may not be palatable. And it's all part of the caution. That's why we have decided to go the way we have gone with the approval of the Chief Imam.
I'm grateful for your time. Sheikh Arimaya Oshaibu is spokesperson for the National Chief Imam. We'll take a break on Joy News Prime. We'll be back with more in business.
Business. My name is Sandra Esinamap. The Food and Agriculture Organization, the FAO, wants a comprehensive look into the concerns over high food prices in Ghana. Over the last few weeks, many have complained of hike in food prices at various market centers despite the sustained supply of food amid the coronavirus pandemic. Abebe Hali Gabriel is the FAO Assistant Director General and Regional Representative of Africa.
We need to understand why the price of food is increasing, why the cost of food is going up. Unless we understand the root causes, we will not be in a position to address them. The solution is to make sure that there is a sustained food supply in the market. So what is it that is preventing us from making sure that there is enough food available in the markets? Is it logistic-related problems, transport-related problems? Is it trade-related problems? Is it production-related problems? In agriculture, you don't just sow the seeds now and get the results tomorrow. It takes time. But unless the agricultural activities, including planting, are taking place at the right time, and if seeds and other inputs such as fertilizer are not provided to farmers at the right time, and if we miss the planting season, it means we will even contribute more to the cost of food next time. So it requires a comprehensive approach. We have to understand the root causes, but I understand that the government of Ghana and its partners are doing their best towards addressing this in a systematic and strategic manner. In the short term, I think this is something that all countries, not just Ghana, are faced with, this temporary shortage. Some of it is really caused artificially. There has been some price gouging, as you know. People panicked initially, wanted to buy almost everything, whether they need it or not. They were afraid, that. But then when over time, when they realize that this is not the case, I think things are going to get better. So FAO has been working with the government in the context of the UN country team in Ghana, as well as other partners such as the World Bank, the Africa Development Bank, IFAD, and so on, to support those things, production, trade, also supporting.
Away from that, government has signed a €500 million contract with Amandi Investment Limited for the construction of more than 10 kilometers railway line to the Takoradi port. The project, which is the largest single government investment in the sector, is expected to link the Western Railway line to the port for delivery of cargo without hassle. Minister for Railway Development Joe Gatti has been speaking with Joy Business after signing ceremony.
Standard gauge between Takoradi Port and Huni Valley, forming a total of 102 kilometers of continuous single-track railway line with stations along the tracks, an initial workshop facility, and an initial complement of rolling stock. The indicated scope of works includes the construction, provision, testing, and commissioning of the following works: the construction of approximately 8 kilometers of standard gauge railway tracks connecting the existing dual gauge tracks in Takoradi to the Takoradi port for easy and efficient access for cargo handling. The conversion of 10.6 kilometers of the track between Takoradi to Kojokrom from narrow gauge to standard gauge. This will include the conversion works and materials involved and the supply of 10 new standard gauge turnouts. The construction of a bypass section along the Kojokrom to Mansu section of the Western Line at a shape to enhance the speed of the railway infrastructure and meet the requirement and specification in the reviewed 2020 Railway Master Plan. The construction of a railway line from Mansu to Huni Valley, approximately 60 kilometers of single track lines, and in addition, the construction of 8 basic stations along the existing line from Amantin to Huni Valley, including all construction works, station building, access roads, CCTV and access control, backup generator, and water tanks.
Meanwhile, the project is expected to undergo cabinet and parliamentary approval by October this year. The minister also believes that the contract can be completed in 42 months.
The 2012 contract did not include the Takoradi port. The Takoradi station is outside the Takoradi port. Under this contract, 8 kilometers of railway line within the Takoradi port will be constructed. I'm also excited that this contract includes the construction of a workshop facility for standard gauge rolling stock. It also includes the supply of some rolling stock. The total project cost is 500 million euros, and I'm told that at today's rate, that is about $560 million. The duration of the contract is 42 months from the date of commencement. With the signing of the contract today, we must satisfy the conditions precedents before commencement. This includes approval from Cabinet to take the contract to Parliament. We must also complete the value for money audit and the environmental and social impact assessment. This is ongoing. If we work hard, we can complete all the remaining processes and commencement can be in October 2020. Ladies and gentlemen, today's event is very significant. This is the largest single railway contract that has been signed in Ghana since independence. It is the first time that we have signed in one contract, a contract over $500 million.
In other news tonight, the Court of Appeal has, by a unanimous decision, granted the Bank of Ghana's application for stay of proceedings in the GN Savings and Loans case in the High Court. All 3 justices' decision is pending the determination of the Central Bank's appeal at the Court of Appeal against the decision of the High Court to hear the case brought by shareholders of GN Savings and Loans. The effect of the Court's appeals ruling today is that the proceedings filed at the High Court by shareholders of GN are for now suspended. The chairman of Group Indum, Dr. Papakwesi Indum, sued the BOG and 2 others over the revocation of the license of GN Savings and Loans Company Limited. The suit, which was filed jointly by Coconut Grove Beach Resort and Conference Center Limited and Group Indum Limited, is challenging the decision of the Central Bank to declare GN Savings and Loans Company solvent, leading to the revocation of their license. And the Ghana Stock Exchange is changing its trading rules. Details plus more in the Business News Times.
In dealing with the volatility of price movements on the stock market, the Ghana Stock Exchange GSE has amended its trading rules primarily to enhance efficient stock price discovery and fair market pricing. An official notice issued to the stock market indicated that the GSE will, from Monday, June 15, 2020, begin the implementation of its amended trading rules on price movements for the stock market. Farmers in the Bole district of the Savannah region are to benefit from 200,000 cashew seedlings and a nursery to complement their normal production and boost plantations in the region. The seedlings, when mature, will be distributed to farmers free of charge as part of government's flagship policy, Planting for Export and Rural Development, which is aimed at ensuring food sufficiency, poverty alleviation, as well as increased jobs for the youth. The Ghana Cocoa Board, through the Cocoa Health and Extension Division, has presented a total of 99,468 bags of cocoa fertilizers to be distributed to 126 farmer cooperative groups within Rioso and Akontombra district of the Western North region. The 126 farmer cooperative groups were from the Rioso and the Akontombra district, with a maximum number of between 250 and 300 members in each group.
Brent crude traded at $39.40 a barrel after losing some minus 0.17 cents. Let's go to the commodity market now for some updates. Thanks for your time. Let's do the same time tomorrow, but you can get more news on our website, myjournalline.com/business. My name is Sandra Esinamafeno, and thanks so much for watching.
After the business, the sport. Hello, I'm Gary L. Smith. And following today's press conference between the Information Ministry and the Sports Ministry, giving us updates on what we expect to do, we are getting even more reaction on what should happen to the Ghana Premier League season. Indeed, the football season for 2019-2020. A former management member of Asante Kotoko Football Club, Dr. Badnoako, says it will be difficult for the season to resume.
Any decision, even if it's financial, is based on facts and figures, isn't it? In the first place, what are the medical protocols to be put in place if we are to resume football? And for me, because as I sit here, I don't think COVID will ever go away. COVID is going to be with us. And I listen to people when they say, oh, why are you resuming football when the numbers are now going up? Statistically, the numbers can never drop. That is the total number of COVID cases in Ghana will never drop because it's a cumulative figure. And a cumulative figure doesn't drop. The total number that has ever... What can drop is the number of new infections, which can drop. But do we have the system to truly determine how many people got infected yesterday? We don't. We don't have a rapid test system which shows that if you got it today or the next 3 days, we can do a rapid test which will show us who got infected because he went to the stadium or got infected because he was... If the person was asymptomatic, what it means that he could have carried around for 2 weeks, he got it, he doesn't even know when he got it. To that extent, it's going to be difficult for us to really say that football can resume today or tomorrow.
Next up is former Black Star Samuel Inkum. He's Georgia-based now, but he's keeping an eye on events here in Ghana. He's speaking about CK Akono, who he says is likely to impress.
CK has been in the game before. He has been the highest level in terms of football. He knows what is good for footballers per se. And I don't know him too well, but I know him when I was young, watching him on TV, Captain Blasters, and also playing for Wolfsburg, some big teams in Europe as well. He captained Wolfsburg, if I'm not wrong. So he has that kind of that kind of character to handle blasters. You understand what I mean? Yeah. Because if you play football, excuse me to say, it's not every player who has played football can manage a team or national team or club side. But I think he has the that character to handle blasters, and I believe that he is going to do very well with his assistant coach David Duncan. I've been through David Duncan before in under 17, and I know how you cannot joke with him. He's kind of person that he doesn't want to see any excuses. You understand what I mean?
2020 is election year, and as we have seen in Ghana, anytime any kind of election comes up, something Sir John said in April 2014 comes to mind. Fear delegates. It is something we will talk about soon, but Samuel Inkum is still in the news now. He has been on 3 continents, 10 countries and 12 clubs, and after playing for Sekendia Zakes and Asante Kotoko, he played for Basel in Switzerland, then he went to Ukraine for Dnipro, Bastia in France, Platanias in Greece. So this is 4 countries. Number 5 was the USA, DC United, Portugal, Boavista, Antalyaspor, Turkey, Verea, Bulgaria, Dunav, Rus in Bulgaria, and the 10th, Samtredia in Georgia. Man has traveled. You can see more of that on the football show with Hans Mensah Ando. Let's finish up with something that is trending on Instagram. Now, guess what? Mohamed Salah is a global superstar now. But when he was wearing this yellow jersey, he was just a wee little boy in Egypt. At the time, Ghana's own Eric Bequin was a superstar in Egypt. And according to Bequin, Mohamed Salah used to look up to him as a role model. He said this on our sister station in Shira FM. He said, Mohamed Salah picked me as a role model. During my days at Petrojet, Salah was a young boy. And you can see more of these quotes on our Instagram. He says he was a big player in Egypt and people wanted to be like him. So you can find this on our Instagram, Joy Sports GH. That's us on Instagram. Go give us a follow. I'm Gary Al Smith. Thank you very much for your time.
Right, I'm Israeli, and that'll be it for the bulletin for tonight. Anchoring from home, handing over to Aisha Ibrahim.
And my name is Aisha Ibrahim. Many thanks for watching. PM Express is happening. Stay tuned in and have a good night.
Good night.